You're listening to an AstroMommy special forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the AstroMommy community. Without further ado, here is today's special forecast. Partial lunar eclipse in Taurus deep dive and horoscopes for all 12 signs, October 28th, 2023. Good morning, friends. Early yesterday morning, I was dreaming about teaching someone in my dream a form of pranayama, yogic breathing called dragon breath, where you breathe in through your nose and then you exhale audibly through your mouth while flexing your hands and sticking out your tongue like a dragon. I actually opened my mouth and audibly breathed out, and my husband said, "Are you okay?" And I answered him, "Yes, I was just doing dragon breath." I was both awake and asleep at the same time, but quickly slipped out of my dream state after this experience. What was interesting is that the moon in Aries was approaching a trine to my natal Neptune, while transiting Venus was approaching a square to my natal Neptune, which I feel is symbolic of having a vivid dream where I actually acted out part of my dream in reality. Both the moon and Neptune are associated with dreams and dreaming. But what is more interesting to me is that the dragon breath technique is used for relieving stress and anxiety. I am not surprised that on a subconscious level I am feeling stressed out, but I am happy that even in my dreams I am trying to use some of the tools that I know to alleviate stress, and also sharing those with others by teaching those techniques. I feel like this dream is so relevant leading up to this lunar eclipse in Taurus, because first, the moon reflects the sun's light and the sun is in Scorpio, where we go deeply into the dark recesses of our minds and realities and shine a huge flashlight on what is in there, lurking in the dark. In Scorpio, we face our deepest fears of death, destruction, and complete transformation of ourselves. The moon in Taurus, a sign about life, fertility, and stability, is illuminating the resources that we have to work with, these underlying fears, anxieties, and traumas that the Scorpio sun may be unearthing. So my dream was showing me a resource that I have available to me, my breath, and it is actually a resource that we all have access to. Makes me think this lunar eclipse is a time to remember what you know, utilize your gifts, and not forget the tools you have in your pockets that will help you handle the world we live in right now. I want to keep this sentiment in mind today as we go over this lunar eclipse, as I think it will be very useful. Okay, let's get into the astrology. The focus of today's post. Today we are going to explore the significations of this lunar eclipse in general and who the main players are in the eclipse chart, and also in relation to the chart of this particular eclipse family, Saros Series 7 South. I went over the different types of eclipses and what a Saros series is in the solar eclipse post 2 weeks ago, so if you need a refresher, you can go back to that post and reread about them through the link here. After we go over the eclipse chart, I want to touch on the corresponding tarot card and decan this eclipse is highlighting, and then we'll go into the horoscopes for all 12 signs, illuminating where in our personal lives we may feel this polarity. What is a lunar eclipse? First, what is a lunar eclipse? A lunar eclipse is always during a full moon, and a full moon is when the moon is on the other side of the earth from the sun, reflecting as much of the sun's light as possible. When we have an eclipse, the earth aligns perfectly between the sun and the moon, and its shadow is seen on the face of the moon during totality. The partial lunar eclipse in Taurus will be at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Time, and will be visible in much the same regions as the solar eclipse was 2 weeks ago. In some areas it will be visible at night, and in others it won't be visible at all because it will be daylight. You can check out the visibility in your location by visiting timeanddate.com at this link here. You can watch the live stream of this lunar eclipse at timeanddate.com at this link here. You can see in this picture from the app Solar System Scope below that the moon is in alignment with the earth and the sun on the other side, creating this effect. A lunar eclipse is a really intense full moon, so it brings with it the energy of harvest, culmination, commencement, and endings, but much more extreme than a normal full moon. The effects of each eclipse are said to affect the next 6 months. So this lunar eclipse is connected to the last lunar eclipse, which was a lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 5th, 2023, at 14 degrees Scorpio, 58 minutes. Although back in May, Saros Series 7 North was being activated, and this lunar eclipse is from Saros Series 7 South. This lunar eclipse is also kind of special in that it is the last eclipse along the Taurus-Scorpio axis and closes out the eclipses of the 18 months when the nodes were in these two signs. Eclipses also tend to shake the world at large and represent pivotal events that may happen that affect large groups of people. So because this lunar eclipse is happening in Taurus, you can expect a powerful culmination or ending in the house that Taurus rules in your chart. Saros Series 7 South. In the post 2 weeks ago about the solar eclipse in Libra, I explained what a Saros series is and gave a lot more details, but today all you need to know is that the chart below is the birth chart for the eclipse family that is being activated by today's lunar eclipse called Saros Series 7 South. Saros Series 7 South began on June 22nd, 1248 CE. 2 weeks ago I wrote, quote, "You can see in this chart from the year 1248 CE that the partial solar eclipse, the new moon, was in Cancer, separating from a trine to Saturn and applying to trine Pluto in Scorpio. Mars in Leo was also separating from a partile square to Pluto. So Saros Series 7 South symbolizes a new beginning in the areas of home, family, mothering, safety, and security that has the energy of great speed, immense power, and force that either heralds a crisis or a rapid release. By knowing this information about the specific Saros series that we are dealing with, we can delineate a bit more about this upcoming eclipse and say that it may have a lot more to do with a rapid new beginning in regard to a family crisis starting or being resolved than we can just by looking at where the eclipse is occurring in your natal chart. This gives us a much deeper layer to explore," unquote. What I want to point out here is that the birth chart of this eclipse has Saturn at 5 degrees Scorpio 9 minutes. So let's hold this zodiacal degree in our minds as we take a look at the lunar eclipse of today. Today's lunar eclipse. Above is the chart of the partial lunar eclipse perfecting today, October 28th, 2023, at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Time in Washington, D.C. The moon is at 5 degrees Taurus 9 minutes, opposite the sun at 5 degrees Scorpio 9 minutes. What we can see very simply in looking at the birth chart of this Saros series and the lunar eclipse chart of today is that Saturn and the sun are both at the exact same degree and minute. When I saw this for the first time, I was blown away. What this means is that the sun at this degree of Scorpio may be activating the qualities of Saturn within this eclipse family, which would be limitations, restrictions, constrictions, and boundaries, and may manifest as a restructuring of something solar, the destruction of a structure, or the death of a constant in your life. So I feel it is a very interesting similarity between these two charts. Keeping this in mind as part of the foundational elements of this eclipse family and this particular phase in the cycle, let's take a look at today's lunar eclipse more closely. You can see in the chart above that the Sun, Mercury, and Mars are all in Scorpio, located at the top right of the chart. Mars is at home in Scorpio, making him very strongly dignified, and he is the host of both Mercury and the Sun. Opposite this Scorpio stellium, a stellium is a group of 3 or more planets that are closely conjoined in the same sign, is the Moon and Jupiter retrograde in Taurus, towards the bottom left of the chart. Venus, the domicile ruler of Taurus, and thus the host of this lunar eclipse, is in Virgo on the right of the chart and is within the 3 degrees of engagement to Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which will perfect on Halloween. So on Saturday, a few hours before the lunar eclipse perfects, Mars in Scorpio opposes Jupiter retrograde in Taurus, symbolizing a standoff or a decision coming to a head between something that needs to be destroyed, Mars, and something that needs to be revived or rebuilt, Jupiter. Or it could represent something that you've been working very hard toward, finally having a noticeable amount of success. Or this could symbolize an obstacle to overcome that may be bringing up past traumas, fears, or anxieties, but with the application of steady effort, you make it over. This transit could also represent the need to cut something out, Mars, in order to bring in new life, Jupiter. So I feel it could represent the idea of surgery or the idea behind debridement, where you are cleaning or cutting away the old tissue to reveal the new healthy tissue underneath. This transit also makes me think of decomposition and how when something decomposes, it goes through a very Mars and Scorpio type of process of death, decay, and destruction. But then it is reincorporated into the soil, actually giving life back to the soil, which feels very Jupiter and Taurus to me, renewing, reviving, and the reincorporation of life-giving material. Then the lunar eclipse perfects, and we may see a culmination or an ending in our lives that may hold some of the same sentiment as the Mars opposite Jupiter. Then Mercury in Scorpio joins the fun and opposes Jupiter as well, as this could symbolize the news reports, phone calls, and texts coming in where people are exposing the truth, talking about war, violence, and destruction. On Sunday, when the moon conjoins Jupiter, opposes Mercury, and Mercury conjoins Mars, this may be when we see what benefit, if any, the destruction or breakage that Mars symbolizes was all about. And then later on Sunday, the moon makes a trine to Venus and conjoins Uranus, indicating a surprise gift. So I feel that this lunar eclipse is representing something coming to a head, a major debate, fight, or standoff ensuing, where we have to make a decision about something very visceral and real, and the decision we make may feel extreme or destructive, but ultimately it results in something being refreshed, revived, and further supported by an unexpected gift. The Tarot card. The moon is at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, and therefore is within the first decan of Taurus. The first decan of Taurus is associated with the Five of Pentacles in the Tarot. The Five of Pentacles is about being so focused on your own suffering that you may not even see the possibilities for help that surround you. On this card are two people walking in the snow. One is injured and on crutches, and the other has wrapped themselves tightly in a thin blanket to keep out the cold. Behind them is the stained glass window of a church, backlit by the light within. They do not see the church or its warm, inviting light because they are so focused on the ground in front of them and their own suffering. The Five of Pentacles represents poverty, worry, suffering, or coming from a place of lack. This eclipse energy could be really challenging for some right now, but this card is saying that love and hope surround you, even though you may feel like you are in need of great charity. I feel this really relates to the fact that the moon is going through a lot today, but ultimately she will end up in the arms of Jupiter and Venus, symbolizing that even in hard times there is hope and joy, and lessons to be learned, and growth and expansion of our hearts and worldviews to be experienced. We need only to look up at the night sky to remember we are not alone in the world, but part of a vast and beautiful universe, and often what we need is right in front of us. So this card is an invitation to take a step back and look at your situation with fresh eyes. What do you see that you didn't notice before? The first decan of Taurus. The first decan of Taurus is ruled by Mercury. Mercury represents our intellect, mental capacities, and how we communicate, play, and interact with others. Mercury is a trickster, a magician, a musician, and represents merriment, cunning, and communication. The fox and the spider are said to be creatures of Mercury because of their cunning ways. Mercury was also called the master of arguments. Taurus brings out Mercury's ability to sing as well as speak charmingly, as Taurus rules the throat and is governed by the planet Venus. So we have the theme of Mercury and Taurus behind this decan, and this could emphasize the messages, communications, or news reports that we are fielding having special importance at this time. Lunar Eclipse in Taurus horoscopes. For each sun rising sign horoscope, I am going to highlight where this lunar eclipse is happening in your chart and the corresponding area of life where you may experience either a culmination, ending, or revival as you break something down or destroy something that has been illuminated and feels emotionally intense and deep, and then where the unexpected gift may be coming from after this eclipse. This will make the most sense if you read your rising sign. Aries. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your second house of possessions, skills, and money, in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, in your 8th house of death, regeneration, debts, investments, inheritance, and other people's money. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, an ending, or a revival in regard to your money and possessions. It could also be about skills of self-sufficiency. You could feel like an investment that you have made has to end or be rewritten in order to make tangible money or acquire the skill that you desire. An unexpected gift or act of service may come in from a helpful person at work, an aunt or uncle, or a beloved pet after this eclipse that provides some support. Taurus. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your first house of self, body, health, vitality, and personality, in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, in your 7th house of partnerships, marriage, relationships, and open enemies. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, an ending, or a revival with something to do with your self-image, health, or physical appearance. You could feel like something in your relationship has to end or be broken down in some way in order for a part of yourself to grow and thrive. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful child, person at work, or friend of the family after this eclipse that provides some support. Gemini. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 12th house of mental health, self-undoing, confinement, hospitals, and large animals, and is in the opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 6th house of health issues, employees, and pets. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, an ending, or a renewal with something in regard to your mental health or hidden subconscious programs. You could feel like something that has been stressing you out has to end or be metaphorically debrided in some way in order for you to mentally and spiritually grow and thrive. Or this could represent the end of a time spent in a hospital or working with large animals or pets that has run its course, and this alleviates the stress associated with those things. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful parent or family member after this eclipse, providing some support. Cancer. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 11th house of friends, groups, allies, hopes, and wishes, and will be in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 5th house of children, pregnancy, recreation, romance, and creativity. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, revival, or ending with a friend group or network that you are part of. You could feel like something that you do with your children as a hobby or someone you are dating has come to its peak and now has to end or be rearranged in some way in order for your friendships to thrive and grow. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful sibling or person in your community after this eclipse that provides some care. Leo. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 10th house of honor, prestige, social status, career, and authority figures, as well as traditionally the mother, and will be in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 4th house of family, roots, and endings. This lunar eclipse could represent something culminating, commencing, or ending in regard to your career, public status, or with your mother. You could feel like something at home or in your family has to end or be disentangled in some way in order for something to grow and bloom in your career or public reputation. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful friend or advisor who provides some support after this eclipse. Virgo. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 9th house of higher education, long-distance travel, publishing, philosophy, and belief systems, and will be in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 3rd house of siblings, community communication, and local travel. This lunar eclipse could represent a renewal, commencement, graduation, or ending with something to do with your beliefs, your educational pursuits, or a long-distance journey. This could also indicate a peak time in a foreign country or with a foreign relation. You could feel like something in your local community or with your siblings has to end, or something you are writing or communicating has to be broken down in some way in order for you to expand yourself into the wider world. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful person who is in your immediate environment after this eclipse and provides some support. Libra. This lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 8th house of death, regeneration, debts, and other people's money, and is in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 2nd house of money, possessions, and skills of self-sufficiency. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, an ending, or a renewal of an asset, investment, or a soul bond. You could feel like something you are doing to make money or that uses your skills has to end or be reorganized in some way in order for the investment or new soul contract to flourish and bloom. An unexpected gift may come in from an anonymous person, a client, or a partner after this eclipse that provides some support. Scorpio. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 7th house of partnerships, marriage, and open enemies, and is in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 1st house of self, body, health, vitality, and personality. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, renewal, or ending in a relationship, partnership, or in a legal trial. You could feel like something in your immediate environment or something very personal to you has to end or be dissected in some way in order for a relationship to grow and thrive. An unexpected gift may come in from a friend, network, group, or charity after this eclipse that provides some support. Sagittarius. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 6th house of health issues, employees, and pets, and is in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 12th house of self-undoing, confinement, hospitals, and large animals. This lunar eclipse could represent a commencement, renewal, or ending with something that has been giving you stress, either physically, at work, or with a pet. You could feel like some sort of subconscious program or mental health hurdle has to end or be dismantled in some way in order for you to feel some stress relief. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful person at work or from your mother who provides support after this eclipse. Capricorn. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 5th house of children, pregnancy, recreational activities, romance, and creative expression, and is in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 11th house of friends, groups, allies, hopes, and wishes. This lunar eclipse could represent a peak, an ending, or a revival with a child, a romantic partner, your creativity, or how you seek pleasure. You could feel like something has to end or be broken down in some way with your friend groups, networks, or wishes in order for a relationship with a child or romantic partner to evolve. This could also be closely tied to what you do for fun to express your creativity or sensuality. An unexpected gift may come in from a helpful mentor, professor, guru, religious leader, or foreigner after this eclipse that provides some support. Aquarius. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 4th house of family, roots, and endings, and will be in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 10th house of honor, prestige, social status, career, and authority figures, as well as traditionally the mother. This lunar eclipse could represent a renewal, commencement, or ending with family, landed property, or ancestral karma. You could feel like something in your career or with your mother has to go through a transformation in some way in order for what you are doing at home and with your family to flourish and thrive and fortify the foundation. An unexpected gift may come in from an investment or a shared resource with another person or spouse after this eclipse that provides some support. Pisces. The lunar eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, 9 minutes, will be happening in your 3rd house of siblings, community, communication, writing, and local travel, and will be in opposition to the Scorpio stellium with the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your 9th house of higher education, long-distance travel, gurus, teachers, philosophy, and belief systems. This lunar eclipse could represent a harvest, a peak, or a culmination with something in regard to your neighborhood, communication, transportation, or siblings. You could feel like something you believe in, are studying, or a trip that you are on has to end or be deconstructed in some way in order for your environment, what you are communicating, learning, or writing to feel a sense of renewal. An unexpected gift may come in from a spouse, partner, or helpful person after this eclipse that provides some support. I hope you enjoyed these Sun rising sign horoscopes. I would like to leave you all with a quote that came into my inbox this morning while I was preparing these for you guys, and I think it just really fits this lunar eclipse energy so well. Quote, "Kindness is one thing you can't give away. It always comes back," unquote. George Skolsky. With all the oppositional energy that is tied in along with this eclipse, we may see a lot of people losing their cool and giving into arguments. So I love this quote because it's a good reminder that if we seek kindness from others, it starts with us. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment. Take care of yourselves during this lunar eclipse. I wish you all the best. Until Monday for the weekly forecast, AstroMommy. Thank you for reading or listening to the Lunar Eclipse Horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the AstroMommy Newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections, and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.